Hello fantastic people, I hope you are doing great. I noticed there are multiple YouTube tutorials about sorting sprites based on their Y position. However, none of them shows how to do it properly for a complex character consisting of multiple sprites. And this is what I will show you today. Let's get started. In case you are not aware, there are two main mechanisms responsible for sorting sprites on the screen. They are both properties of the sprite renderer: sorting layer and ordering layer. Ordering layer dictates at what order the sprites will be drawn on the screen. Items with smaller numbers will be drawn first, while items with higher numbers will be drawn later. The sorting layers, as their name suggests, group items together into multiple layers. Each one of them gets drawn on the screen separately, one after the other, so even items with extremely low order in layer will be drawn after the items with high one from the layer before. That means we can put all the elements that will always be behind into a separate layer called background. Now, for all the items that need to be sorted, we need to create a script. Actually, two scripts. First one to order all of the static items, only once when they are created, and then second one that constantly updates the order in layer of the items that move. Let's start with the first script. Let's create it and call it YSort. Let's remove everything besides start method. Then, inside of it, let's grab the sprite renderer. Now we need to calculate the YSort. It's easy. First we grab Y position of the game object. We'll need to convert it to integer. That will make it lose all of the digits after dot. So we need a way to increase our accuracy of sorting. The simplest one will be multiplying it by 100. Then we inverse it using minus. Now we need to assign it to our assets. I will do it in the prefab mode, so it gets automatically applied to all the copies of this prefab. Now let's create a script for the moving items. Let's call it dynamic YSort. Let's start by doing a little bit of cleanup. We'll need a variable to store the base sorting order. That will be the general sorting order of the whole character. On its basis, we will calculate the sorting order of individual sprites. The logic to calculate it will be exactly the same as before, so let's extract it to an extension method. Ooh, but what are the extension methods, you ask? Well, sometimes you will work with classes provided to you by an external library or framework, or like in this case, by game engine. There will be a method that you will think should be part of one of those classes. And that's exactly what the extension method can be used for. So to put it simply, extension method is a method defined in your own code that will be part of a class you cannot directly modify. First we need to create a static class. It's nothing scary, it's just a simple class that can contain only static methods. To make a class static, you simply use the static keyword before the word class. Now we can create a method. It has to be static and public. And also its first parameter has to be the type you want to extend. In our case, transform, with the keyword this before the name of this type. Now we simply return the code we have written before. Nice. As you see, we can use the method we created directly from the game object's transform. Isn't it fantastic? Our character consists of several sprites, and each of them can have different sorting order. We need to create a simple type to store this information. So we create a struct. Let's call it sortable sprite. And let's make it have two public variables. One to hold the sprite renderer, and one to store the amount we need to modify the sorting order in regards to the base value. We need to mark this type as serializable. This way we will be able to use it in the inspector. Now let's create a serialized field that will hold an array of our newly created structs. The last step is to iterate through each one of them and set the sprite sorting order based on the pre-calculated value modified by value stored on the object. Whoa, that was complicated. We are using here few quite advanced C# concepts. I will be covering them very soon in the C# scripting series I am working on. If you don't want to miss it, subscribe to my channel and turn on the notifications. Of course, if there are any subjects you would like to see covered, like this video and drop a comment below it. Now we need to assign the script to our character. We increase the size of the array to match the number of the sprites we have. Then we drag and drop each sprite to a sprite renderer input. And of course we assign the relative sorting order based on what we set up before on our character. Almost done. If we test it now, we'll see it doesn't work properly. The sprites are sorted based on the position of the container object, which is in the middle of the character. We want them to be sorted based on the feet position. To do that, we can create an empty object, let's call it sort offset marker, and assign a small icon to it, so it is visible in the scene window. Let's move it down a little and then adjust our script. First we create a variable to store the offset, then a serialized variable to store the transform of the marker. In the start method, let's calculate and store the offset. Currently we don't have any way to pass it to our getSortingOrder method. Let's modify it a little bit. We add an offset parameter to it, but because we want to set it just for selected objects, we can default it to 0. This way other objects that already use the method will not need to have any code modified. Now we need to add it to the game object's position and set the parameter in our dynamic ysort script. Don't forget to assign the marker to our new variable. And now we are completely done. I hope you found it useful. Have a fantastic day, love you and bye bye.